But the middle area was the most challenging. Getting the governments, foreign governments, to accept their responsibility for their nationals. These governments, the majority of governments, did not want to do it. My job was not only to travel to these particular countries and press them for assurances that they will handle the security threat, press them for assurances that if these people are returned, they will treat them humanely, but also help build the public case that would allow these governments to take these people back or press them to take them back. In many instances, what we did and what I had to do was immediately after my diplomatic meetings, engage the media in these particular countries and make the point that the United States was prepared and is prepared to send these individuals back to, be it the UK or wherever it would be, as long as the UK would accept responsibility and manage the threat. Now, this public diplomacy tool proved to be very valuable because what it did is it turned the dynamics, changed the dynamics. So now the burden moved to these local governments to do something. We would also engage the parliaments, the opposition parties, to let them know, because we, the United States, were losing the public diplomacy campaign. And we had to basically push back in order so that people could know what the situation was and what the challenges we were facing. Now, a big issue that we continue to face on this question of detainees is whether the United States is acting within the law. The common perception is that we are outside of the law. You travel anywhere within the United States, you talk to the lady I spoke with on a plane last night, or you go to Europe. That is the belief. But really, in my view, what we have is we have a situation where we're trying to bring the law together, interpret the law. We have competing bodies of law that need to be reconciled. You have the laws of war, which obviously allow and give governments the ability to detain combatants in a time of conflict. But then you have what I will call the laws of peace, which is our ordinary civilian judiciary that invokes and provides certain rights for individuals. The debate has been the clashing of these two bodies of law. And if a advocate chooses one side, he or she is convinced of their position. They're not wrong. But what we have is a situation where the laws, as constructed back in the day, the Geneva Convention, did not particularly envision this exact scenario. So moving forward, we need to continue to evaluate these points. We need to fill the gap, if you will, not necessarily by creating new laws, but looking at the entire body that is out there and understanding how they all fit together and when one takes precedent or priority over the other. So we have learned a lot of lessons, I believe. And a lot of people have examined this question and written about this, and I do recommend the book by Charlie Savage on this. He did some excellent research detailing some of the accounts that I just gave you. Because we need to evaluate this and understand where we're going. But I think some of the key lessons or points that we should look into is that we need to recognize that we will have detainees again in the future. We need to recognize that a credible process must be put in place, one that upholds the principles of the United States. We need to recognize that people look to us and hold us to a higher standard. We need to recognize that we have a duty to diplomatically drive and build consensus on these issues and get foreign governments to accept their responsibility. And we also need to recognize that the ordinary judicial system, court system, in my view, is not built to handle problems such as this. Now, where we go from here, will Guantanamo be closed? Well, that is everyone's hope. I know that's President Bush's hope. That's a President-elect's desire. But as you can imagine, it's more complicated. I predict that it will not be closed anytime soon because we need to get cooperation from these foreign governments to send these people back. It will not be closed anytime soon because we have a not in my backyard mentality. While even a woman on a plane, I'm sure she says send them to the United States. But I bet you if we say, well, these people be your neighbors, she'll have a different view. Now, Guantanamo has become a cause célèbre and a problem for the United States. And we need to find a solution for that. But that doesn't mean that the detention policy or the fact that we'll be detaining individuals will cease. A different system or different location will have to be determined or discovered. Yesterday, I was at a conference and one of my colleagues said he believed that we rushed into Guantanamo. Actually, I don't believe we rushed into Guantanamo. I think it was the best of all worst options at the time. What we did rush into was what to do with them, the legal system in place once we got them to Guantanamo, the issues of the commissions and all that, and we'll talk about that in the subsequent panels. But going forward, now that our courts and our citizens are engaged, it is my hope that we can find the right answer to address this problem. Thank you. I'm now available for any questions that you may have.